with some friends 20 years ago. Can we turn this off, the light, please? This light. Okay. And as a bonus, I'm going to show you how to solve Hidato. You have some Hidato puzzles in the welcoming package, and I will show you how to solve them. Not exactly the same ones, but a very similar one. This talk is in memory of a very good friend, Avi Olti. And the whole thing started when I met Avi. I had a new job, and I met Avi. He was working already there. And one day he comes to me and shows me a shabby, very terrible user interface game. I told him, Avi, listen, okay, this looks interesting, but at least add some mouse support to it, the minimum. He says, no, you don't understand. I want this to be a handheld electronic game, and I want you to solve it. Help me solve it. I said, okay, sounds interesting. This is the first time I ever heard the expression handheld electronic game, but I understood what it meant, what he meant by it. And I said, okay, but I'm just new in this job. I don't have time for this now. I'm sorry. Okay, you know what? Next week I'm traveling to the US. I'll have time on the plane, plenty of time on the plane. So indeed, after the delicious dinner on the plane, I kept all my napkins and started to scribble down the positions and the things that were going on here, and try to figure out what's going on. So let me show you what is going on. The game starts, as I told you, it has 5 by 5 buttons, which can be lit, so it's lights that double as buttons. And whenever you press a button, something happens. A puzzle starts by some lights being on, and your goal is to turn all the lights off, hence it's called Lights Out. So what happens when you press a button? Suppose you press this middle button here, then all the lights around it, including itself, will change. So you have 5 lights that change. If you press a button on the side, then the same happens, except that this light, which isn't there, just nothing happens to it. And in the corner, again, the same principle. Fine, okay. So what happens if you press 2 buttons? Press these 2, and then by pressing the corner one, you turned on this one, and this, and this. But by pressing this, you turned off these 2, and turn on these 3. So when I say they change, they flip their position, not only turn on or off. When you press 3 buttons, forget it. When you press 3 buttons, then it's getting a bit messy, right? It's not quite intuitive what happens here. Suppose that all you have is this. Can you figure out that these are the buttons that you should have pressed in order to turn this off? So again, this was turned on by the corner, by pressing this, and turned off again by pressing this. So this is off. However, this has 3 buttons that were pressed near it, next to it, and therefore it changed 3 times, so it is now on. It was off, now it is on. Here is a challenge. This puzzle can be solved in 3 steps. Let's give you 30 seconds. Nobody? Not yet? Okay, yeah. Excellent. You know what? You did better than Randy, the owner of Tiger Electronics. It took him 20 minutes. He gave up and said, okay, I buy it. Exactly. Let me show you how it goes. When you press the center button, then you remain with this position. And now it's very clear that you have to press this and this. So indeed, you were right. There's always one person who answers this question out of, I don't know how many of you are here. That's great. Okay, so some basic properties. The final state of a light depends on its initial state and the number of buttons next to it that were pressed. Actually, it doesn't matter how many were pressed, as long as that counts is whether this number is odd or even. If it's odd, then it will change. If it's even, it stays the same. Some conclusions that we can draw from this. The order in which we press the buttons doesn't matter. Right? We saw that before. Also, pressing twice the same button will cancel out the effect, so there's no point in pressing twice the same button, unless you made a mistake. How about some math? Anybody afraid of math? Nobody? Great. I don't know what's going up there. Okay, just a little, don't worry. I think that what was confusing, and it confused me also, in the Lights Out, before I understood how to solve it, is the fact that we have a matrix of 5 by 5. So my mind kept looking for patterns in this 5 by 5 matrix. Actually, the correct way to solve it is to look at all the lights as a vector of 25 bits, zeros and ones. We have this position. 3 lights are on here, and all the rest is off. So this is the first row. 1, 1, 1 stands for the lights that are on. The zeros are for the lights that are off. So this is a position. The description of a position is a vector of 25 zeros or ones, bits. Each button can also be represented by a vector of 25 zeros and ones as follows. Pressing that corner button, it will change these two lights, hence the 1, 1 there, and this one, which is in the second row, and that's why the 1 is here. Okay? And that's all. It doesn't change anything else, so the rest is 0. Now, how do we apply a move to a position? It's a simple addition, vector addition, modulo 2. As we already know, this is the result of pressing the button there. And the result is the addition of these two vectors, modulo 2. So 1, 1 gives 0, 1, 1 gives 0. Indeed, the first two are off. 1, 0 gives 1. The middle one in the first row is on. And again, 0, 1 gives 1. In the second row, we have a 1. We have a light 1, on. So actually, the entire game can be represented by a 25 by 25 matrix of zeros and ones. Each row stands for one of the buttons. I scan them like this, but you could go any other order. It doesn't matter. So this is the button we saw. This is the second button. It turns it changes the first 3 lights in the top row and the second light in the second row, and so on, 25 by 25. Needless to say, there weren't enough mappings on the airplane to write this down, let alone invert the matrix. And that's what we have to do. So when we apply the moves x to a puzzle P, we get the following. We have P plus the vector x, which is a column vector. This is a column vector, this is a column vector, and T, the result, is a column vector, or the target is a column vector. We multiply the matrix by x, add them up, and we get the result. Excuse me. Of course, every computation here is modulo 2. In Lights Out, our target is 0. So really what I need is that mx equals minus p, but since I'm working modulo 2, minus equals plus, so actually the equation is mx equals p. This is a linear equation, very easy to solve, except for one thing. The matrix is singular, so not everything has solution. Not every puzzle has a solution. So if I solve this equation, x will contain the solution, but m is singular, and actually only 1/4, 2 to the 23 puzzles have solutions. All the rest have no solution at all, and those that have exactly 4 solutions. From this, I also deducted that a very intuitive and meaningful way to set the difficulty level of a particular puzzle is the number of steps it takes to solve it, the minimum among the 4 possible solutions. So if you have 1 step, of course, that's very easy, we saw that. 2 steps, still easy. 3 steps, it took you some time to figure out. And we started really from 6 steps. So I'm done, right? Avi asked me to solve the puzzle, to find the solution. I have a mathematical solution. The mathematical solution is not practical for anybody to do it in their brain. Well, maybe some people can do it, but very few, if at all. And that's it, right? What do you think? No, of course not. There wouldn't be a talk if it was so easy. This puzzle was really fascinating. So I kept thinking about it. I couldn't stop until I found the hack. Here is the hack. Even after that. I kept thinking about it. So the hack says the following. It's called light chase. Look at the top row. If there is any light in the top row, press the button below it. That will turn it off. Right? So after the first step, we will have the top row all off. In this case, the top row is off already, so we start from here. This light is on, I have to press this button. This light is on, I have to press this button. This light is on, I have to press this button. And solve the puzzle, right? So you weren't so clever after all. Okay. Now, this looks bad. I mean, if it's so easy to solve it, where is the gain? Let's look at it once again. This time, I'm looking at the same puzzle, but rotated 90 degrees. Okay? We have 3, 3, 3. And I apply the light chase. press here, here, and here. This is the result. This is the result. Press here, here, and here. The result is there. And now the next, I have to press this, below this, this, and this. And this is the result. Oops. What am I going to do with these 4 lights? There are no buttons below them to press. Okay, so I cannot. How am I going to solve it? Good, so that problem is done, but not really. Actually, let's look back. We remember what the puzzle was. The puzzle was this. And I know that the solution is pressing the 3 lights, right? So, if I pressed the correct line in the top row at the beginning, I would have solved the puzzle. But how can I do it in advance? How can I know it in advance? I cannot know. What I can know is that once I reach this solution, this position, I have to press this button and the top row. Remember that light chase never presses buttons on the top row. So that is what's missing. That is what caused these lights to stay on. If I press it now, and then do light chase again, I will solve the puzzle. Let me show you. Okay, just a second to set it up. So this is our initial, oh no, sorry, oops. Okay, this is the initial position, and I do the light chase, and I reach this position. As I told you, all I have to do now is press this, and perform the light chase again. I'm sorry, I thought it was on silent. Oh, yeah, I can try. Is it better? No. Okay now? Okay, good. So what I'm applying light chase now again. So what I have to do is press these 3 buttons, which, mind you, I've pressed the earlier 2. 1, 2, 3. Now I have to press this one below this, and this here. And 1, 2, 3 again, and here we go. So what actually happened is I pressed several buttons many times and made 19 steps instead of 3, but I solved the puzzle, right? So what next? It turns out that there are 8 different bottom row positions that can be reached. You see here 5 because the first one is all off, so I didn't draw it here. Good. There are 3 symmetric ones, and these 2 are asymmetric, so their symmetries also apply. Okay? And for each one, there is a certain pattern of buttons that you have to press. For example, for this, you have to press these 2. For this, these 2, and so on. Okay? Every kid can do it, right? To remember, to memorize 5 positions like this, everyone can do. And to do the light chase is no-brainer at all. We went through the usual stages. Complete denial. No, Gyora, you are wrong. That cannot be true. That doesn't work. Prove me. And prove me again. And show me again. And I don't believe it. Eventually, they believed me. Okay. So now it was despair. Lights Out is doomed. What are we going to do? They were almost ready to start production, and I broke it. Bad boy. And again denial, and again despair, and then came an idea. Remember that light chase, though sometimes it solves the puzzle in optimal time, in many cases it solves it in a much longer, it gives a much longer solution. So we decided to ask for a short solution. Optimum plus 10. That's all. If you solve it in optimum plus 12 steps, that doesn't count. You didn't solve it. And this was the minor change that we had to do in the program, and manufacturing began. And the rest is history. Sure enough, shortly after Lights Out was in the shops, Light Chase was published. This didn't hurt the sales at all, and Lights Out was really a great success. I think, as far as I know, this is the most successful handheld electronic puzzle game. And of course, forever, because I don't believe anybody's going to do any handheld electronic anymore when all of us have all these smartphones in our pockets. There were several models. This is the original, which I've showed you. This is Deluxe, which has a 6x6 board and, of course, a different matrix. There was a Cube, Lights Out 2000, which I'm holding here. It has 3 colors, so you could play various possibilities. But the mathematics is exactly the same, except for the fact that 3 colors, you have to work modulo 3. All the rest is the same. You have different matrices, but once you solve the linear equation, you have the same solution. About 5 million gadgets like this were sold around the world. This is Avi and me in Japan. When they launched the Lights Out in Japan, there was a press conference. It was lots of fun. And you see, I can even tie a tie. I could. I'm not sure I can. Okay. This was a very prolific partnership with Avi and others. We created other types of games, like iTop, which is a spinning top, electronic spinning top. As it spins, it displays the number of rotations or anything else that you like, the speed, or whatever. Nimix, which is a game, it's not a puzzle. And Hidato, there are many others, but I'm showing you only this. Hidato is all over the world in newspapers and books and online. And I want to talk to you about Hidato a bit, and then I'll go back to Lights Out. Hidato is a logic number puzzle. As I said, it appears in newspapers in at least 6 continents. I don't know about Antarctica. I'm not sure. The Hidato Fun book series is published bi-monthly, and you can play online Hidato at hidato.com. It is used to teach logical thinking. I get emails from people, several teachers approached me, telling me and asking for some help, telling me that they use Hidato to teach logical thinking to high school kids in Peru, in United States, in Israel, and in several other places. The Weizmann Institute, a very famous, prestigious university, also uses Hidato for teaching kids logical thinking and mathematics. And of course, in your BSides welcome package, you have 2 puzzles. So after the talk, please solve them. Okay, let's go to Hidato. So here is a puzzle, a Hidato puzzle. This is different from what you have in your welcome package, because this is the beehive flavor, and I'll talk about, so there are several flavors, but the principle is the same. You get a grid partially filled with numbers, and you have to fill the grid with numbers, in this case from 1 to 37, so that they connect in a continuous path. Find the path, solve the puzzle. That's the logo. So what we have here, we have 1 here, and 2 has to be next to it. It can be here, or here, or here. Can you see the mouse? Okay, good. So I don't know where to put it. And I shouldn't start with something that I'm not sure about. I should start with something that's obvious. Here is 21 and 19. So 20 must connect both to 19 and 21. The only place it can be is here. I press 19. This will change the next number to 20. And here it is. Okay? Now 21, the next number is 22. And it has only 1 empty neighbor. So 22 must be here. And 23 must be here, and we connect it to 24. What else? The same goes for 11, 13, 12 must be between them. And now 10 must be here. To change the direction, I double-click a given number, and then we have, so we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 has to be here. Let's see, what else do we have? 19, 18 is missing. The only place it can be is here. 18, 17, 16, 15, and we connect it to the 14, 37 and 36, because 35 is here. 34 must be here. I'm doing it online, which is not a very clever idea, but I hope I won't make any stupid mistakes. 7 has to be here. 6 could be here or here, I'm not sure. And how about 2 and 3? Okay, we have 2, 3, and we have 6, 5. Okay. 33 has to be here, because already we took this place. It's occupied. 25 must be here. 26 must be here, because otherwise it will be blocked. There will be no way to reach it, to reach this place. 27. I still don't know whether 1, 2, 3 should be like this or like this. What else is missing? But no, okay. 5, if I put 5 here, then there is no way to put 6 between 5 and 7. So 5 must be here, 5, 6. This decides for me that 2, 3 must be here. And now all we have is 28, 9, 30, 31, 32. Okay. My time is 11 hours because I started it last night. Not a very good time, but believe me, I slept in between. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. So I said that Hidato has had several flavors. You've seen beehive here. You have the classic or king flavor in your welcoming package, which means that the moves can be, first of all, these are squares and not hexagons, and you can go up, down, right, left, and diagonally. So that's there are 8 neighbors to each square, as opposed to the 6 that you have in a hexagon. Rooking, which is a combination between king and rook. This means that only left, right, up, and down are neighbors, no diagonal. And knight, which represents the knight move. If anybody is not familiar with chess moves, then it may be mute, but it makes the puzzle extremely difficult. So I'm afraid to show it. Sadly, in 2006, Avi passed away. He succumbed to a very severe and very violent cancer. I still miss him very much. His energetic personality, his brilliant ideas, and his enthusiasm are missing. But we go on. Some takeaways in the meanwhile, and then I'll continue. First of all, take good care of your health. That's very important. Second, even basic mathematics, high school mathematics, sometimes can take you a long way. So don't be afraid to apply it. And as for the security community that we are here, the important thing is always look for the hex. Always accept that there will be something unexpected. For instance, we thought that at first we thought Lights Out was very hard to solve because it didn't make any sense. What do you press to solve this puzzle? Then we had a mathematical solution, and we were, okay, we felt great. We know how to solve it. We know how to classify the puzzles. But this is not something that your regular Joe will apply. So still there is a game. And then came Light Chase, which is really a hack, a trick that solves the puzzle in a very unexpected way. Of course, luckily, we found that hack. I found the hack in time to fix it. And that's the most important thing, to be ready, to be prepared, to be agile, to be able to change things in order to fix bugs or vulnerabilities or whatever. And we have some more time, I think. How much? 10 minutes? Okay, that's great. Great. So, as I said, there were many variants of Lights Out. The size and the shape of the board. So, this is, the classic was 5x5. There was a 4x4, 6x6. This is a funny shape. And, of course, the cube. We tried to be like Rubik. Didn't reach the same level of success, but it was pretty good. There is something that I call the effect pattern. As I told you, when you press a button above, below, to the right, to the left, they change. But that doesn't have to be like that. So we have this effect pattern. What if I rotate it like this? It's an X. So I press a button and the diagonals change. This had this mode, and it was a lot of fun. Restriction rules. Lit only. You may only press a light if it's on. You cannot press it if it's off. Looks completely different, right? I'll tell you something about it. Toggle, you can press, if you press the light that was on, the next press must be a place where it's off. On, off, on, off, on, off. Makes you crazy. And the number of colors. As I mentioned, there were 3 colors too. So lit only. I proved that every solvable puzzle by the regular rule can be solved also under the lit only rule. And the number of moves is at most twice as many. Let me. And you asked me to move it to the center. So, this is the puzzle. Do you know what the solution is? Right? Because you saw me create the puzzle. These two. But these are both off. You cannot press them. So what do? Always, if there is one button that has to be, at least one button in the solution has a neighbor that must be on. In this case, both buttons have several neighbors that are on. So let's press this one. Now I can press this. And now I can press this again to cancel out the ill effect of the previous move. And we are done. I did four moves instead of 2. So this is twice. But the theorem says that that's the maximum overhead that you must incur. Surprisingly, after 20 years, there are still open problems related to Lights Out. Suppose we have a singular n by n matrix over a finite field. Find an optimal solution to the equation mx equals b. X and b, of course, are vectors in that field. Do you get the idea what's it is about? It turns out that for reals, not a finite field, but in reals, there is a solution. There is an efficient solution. It's called pseudo-inverse matrix, and it's great. Here, I think the reason this is so difficult is that we work in a particular finite field, 0, 1, for example, but we measure the length of the vector in integers. So we move out of the field, and I think this is what causes the difficulty of this problem. As far as I know, nobody solved it yet. The longest optimal solution, if there is only one solution for every puzzle, then of course the longest is to press all the buttons. But if there are many solutions to a particular puzzle, so far I don't know of any efficient way to find the shortest one, except by trying all of them. I showed you that for lit-only puzzles, there is always a solution. For toggle puzzles, I don't know. I mean, there are puzzles that have no solution, that can be solved under the regular rule, but cannot be solved under toggle. And again, the longest optimal solution for a lit-only puzzle is open. If any of you like to solve these puzzles, and let me know, please. There are some other interesting properties, like if the board is symmetric and the effect pattern is symmetric, then you can deduce interesting stuff from that. And some meta puzzles. What is the length of the longest optimal solution in the classic lights out, 5 by 5, 2 colors? It's 15. So what we have in the pre-programmed puzzles, we had puzzles from 6 to 15 steps, difficulty level. Can you check solvability? This is easy. If you have a vector that is perpendicular to this and this vector, then the puzzle is solvable. That puzzle is solvable. What I mean by this is, if you have a puzzle, it has ones and zeros, and you count the number of ones that fall on ones here. If it is odd, there is no solution. If it is even, do the same there, and if both are even, there is a solution. Very easy. Are there puzzles where the puzzle equals the solution? There are several. Let me show you one of them. Okay, we have the diagonal. If I press these 5 buttons, everything will go up, and that's the same solution. The solution is also the puzzle. And actually, this has a neat mathematical interpretation. All you have to do is find the eigenvectors. Sorry for cursing you, of the matrix, or in other ways, in other words, solve this equation where I have the matrix M minus the identity matrix, or the diagonal, the main diagonal is 1s, and the rest is 0, times x equals 0, so it's the same type of solution of solving a linear set of linear equations, and take away again. Thank you.